people what they want to see.
Quit yucking my yum.
Take me out, coach.
I'm not giving Jerry Jones my money. F that guy.
I want me some glory hole.
Are you ready to dive in? All right, everybody, what's up? What's happening? We're back. Philly Experience Podcast, a little different.
Much different.
Obviously, I want to start out by saying whoever be safe and as healthy as they can be. Definitely unprecedented times. And we're just happy to be back with everybody, honestly. We've been trying to do this for a couple weeks now, texting back and forth, trying to come up with the best way to get back to our audience and able to get the soundboard in through the mail.
Doggone right.
Finally comes in, which is great.
Doggone right.
My turn.
I'm able to get back going. So it's great to be back, everybody. And, hopefully you guys are safe too. How's everybody doing?
Man, I'm surviving. That's the best way I could say.
That's all we can do. Right. Chris, Tanner.
Still here, washing hands, don't touch any faces, and that's what everyone's got to do at this time.
My life honestly hasn't really changed that much. I just have to wear a mask every time I leave the house now.
Yeah.
For work, right? For work, right, Chris?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's dive in here. We got a ton of topics we can talk about, and you can kind of go either way with our show today. I guess one thing I wanted to start with here is just like free agency. I guess we weren't able to actually talk about that because our show obviously ended sooner than we wanted to when we had an extended break. But
sucks.
I guess the first thing we can dive into is just what your opinions were. I guess we'll start with the Eagles free agency first, and then Tanner. I know you gotta get, or we all want to get to the whole league in general, but just your guys' thoughts on the Eagles off-season moves so far in free agency.
So, to me personally, this is familiar grounds. The Eagles seem to be every season the same place during free agency. We go into free agency, we're expecting some big-time players, some superstar names, and in the end, we did improve on defense especially, but I think towards the beginning we were really looking for that wide receiver that could really help out Wentz.
It's an outrage.
And we did hear from Howie saying that we weren't going to get any big names during free agency, and we were going to go to the draft. And he also said we weren't really going to move from the draft either. So as an Eagles fan, I'm unsure of what's going to happen, but also a little excited because this class is very talented with the wide receivers that they have this year especially. Even though we didn't get anyone in free agency, we, for a second we thought maybe Robbie Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into that whole DeAndre Hopkins slip-up because I know all of us in here are just completely confused by that situation. Definitely. But I'm more confident.
Oh, man, that's irritating.
And especially, can't go without saying and mentioning our addition of Darius Slay and how that's going to really help out.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
I hear you.
Definitely, 100%. Listen, I also wanted to bring up the Hartgrave's signing because I think that dude's going to be a beast on the D line. I think it was a good pickup. One that, we weren't expecting, obviously. And I know when we're thinking big-time free agents and then we get somebody that we haven't heard of, at least me personally, I haven't heard of him before in general.
Wow, really?
I haven't. I really haven't. I mean, listen, I've heard of his talent. I've heard you see highlights and plays he's made, but he's not one of those big time names that we were hearing when free agency started.
Anytime you have a nickname named the Grave Digger, you're something to behold. Trust me and believe me on that. Oh my goodness. Justin Hartgrave was definitely an unexpected signing. Completely out of left field. I didn't think they would address the defensive tackle position, but it's pretty apparent that they want to strengthen that interior defensive line. And I don't have no problem with that because they, as we know, the Eagles don't blitz. They like to rotate their 4 down linemen constantly. So I love the signing. My thing is, where is his fit going to be with the price that we paid him for? Now, albeit we didn't pay him that much money compared to what he could have gotten paid for as a defensive tackle, the talent that he is. But at the same time, I'm still thinking to myself, well, how exactly is he going to fit? Because Malik Jackson is still defensive tackle number 2. Unless he rides that second rotation with Hassan Ridgeway, that's the only way I see, that working. I'm not 100% sure exactly how that's going to work, but hey, they're trying to strengthen both units of the defensive line, so I don't have a problem with that.
I feel like we talked on the show multiple times about the Super Bowl season, and especially this past Eagles season when we were struggling to win football games. We always mentioned what could we get back to that we did during the Super Bowl season. We were always trying to figure out what are ways that we can get back to that kind of football. What are some things that we can implement to this team that, can get us back to where we were. And I think that by this signing that we have with Hartgrave, he just fits as far as what we used to be able to do in 2017 when we were able to rotate defensive linemen. Everybody was not too gassed by the end of the game. And we had, like, I would say, maybe 4, 5, 6 guys that we could rotate in and out and, try to stay healthy longer throughout the season. And I think this guy's going to come in along with Fletcher Cox, obviously, who anchors that defensive line.
Right.
And, Brandon Graham hopefully can get another year out of him on the edge. And Derek Barnett. A lot of hopefuls here. Derek Barnett hopefully takes a step forward.
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, that's too much hope. I'm sorry. That's too much hope.
We'll see. It's a big work in progress. I think, Tanner, you make it a good point. We just don't know. Like Howie Roseman, this is one off season that is just kind of up in the air, like especially with the draft, which I know we want to save mostly for next week. But I mean, and just in general, like this is just going to be one of these drafts that we're going to be looking at the board and we're just going to have no idea. We kind of think maybe
we know it's hard.
Wide receiver, but at the same time, will Howie Roseman trade up? We don't know. We don't know what to expect. We're hearing a ton of rumors, like we always hear a ton of rumors, but usually that involves other teams, and we usually stay pat and maybe not take a guy that we all think we should at a certain position. Especially last season, we took Miles Sanders, which was a great pick, but when we took Arcega-Whiteside, there was hope because we all saw him play at Stanford, and so far it hasn't worked out. But I think this year at 21, there's so many receivers out there that I think it might all literally depend on how the draft goes per se, like the first 12 picks, like what players are gone. And then, but say gets to pick 13, does Howie Roseman see a name on his board that's worth trading up for? I really think it's just going to be a work in progress. We're just going to see what happens pick by pick, and there's no set plan. Like, okay, once it gets to pick 15, we're trading up. It's all going to depend on who's there in that position.
I can definitely agree with that. It's definitely going to come down to who falls. But going back on what you said in terms of Arcega-Whiteside and how that draft pick worked out, I mean, we can see obviously how that worked out. At least from what we've seen the past season. I'm sorry. You have to hit on this. Like, you need a receiver, and you have to hit on this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if you mess this up, your job, and possibly your career is on the line. Because let's be honest here, we still haven't been able to recapture that glory from the Super Bowl year. And to be honest with you, and I've been on record of saying this, Howie Roseman is good picking up free agents. He's good with cap. And he's good with trades. His one weakness, which is why I like the addition of Joe Douglas when he came in here all those years ago, is drafting. Like, he's always been a questionable drafter. Like, I can go back to last year when we picked Clayton Thorson because we couldn't pick up Easton Stick with one more pick left. So, like, it's things like that. Like, you got caught with your pants down. Things like that can't happen. You have to hit on these draft picks. And the receiver position definitely needs to be addressed. Now, obviously, they couldn't move on from Alshon Jeffrey with this huge contract. Okay, fine. Of course, I knew Deshaun Jackson was going to come back. All right. So you still need to find and develop some players to play behind those players because, let's be honest here, those players aren't going to stay healthy. It's just not going to happen. It's not in their nature. They're going to get hurt sometime along the season, if we even have a season. they're going to get hurt. So you have to address that wide receiver position, and it has to be addressed correctly. Now I'm kind of happy that they didn't address it via free agency. I wasn't big on Robbie Anderson, and it's pretty clear that as the length of time that he stayed a free agent, it was very telling about what other teams felt about him.
I agree.
Like, yes, he's a burner, but his hands are okay. Like, there's times where he'll burn past a defender, but then he'll have Nelson Aguilar hands, which, by the way,
I always try to look at the contracts, too. I know the skill set is definitely the most important thing, but when you see the contracts of these guys getting paid, Robbie Anderson, what did he get, like 10, 11 million per year? I mean, it's just not worth it.
No.
I do tip my hat to Howie Roseman for not overpaying for one of these receivers. I think so far he's making the right decisions as far as, okay, let's go to the draft and address this issue rather than spend 11 million on a receiver who may or may not, give you the kind of production that you expect from him.
Exactly. And then you command, and then you take up and reserve that much money towards the cap, and then we're in a position now with Alshon Jeffrey where we can't even get rid of the contract. That's an issue. So I like the simple fact that we're going younger, and I like the simple fact that they want to go with a receiver that can grow with Wentz for years to come. That's exactly what you want. You don't necessarily want somebody else's damaged goods per se.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just how I feel, me personally. I mean, and going back to what I said, you have to hit on this draft pick. You have to. Like, there's no other option. But I will say this though. I'm happy. I am so happy that we did not pay Byron Jones that money. Oh my goodness. That is a ridiculous contract. That is a stupid amount of money for a corner that is just okay. Like, I'm not okay. He's a good corner, but he's not worth the money that he got from the Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree.
All powers to you. God bless you. That's all I got to say. Like, that's stupid. Stupid money.
Chris Tanner, thoughts on the Slay deal? You like it? I mean, I'm sure it's an upgrade, obviously, but were you guys thinking, man, maybe we should have went out and signed Byron Jones? Because I'll admit, my personal
people
self,
what they want to see.
sitting here thinking, man, you know what, Byron Jones, best corner out on the market by far. I wasn't really I mean, I know we mentioned the Slay idea multiple times, and then we finally got the opportunity to go snag him. But, I mean, me personally, I was like, you know what, let's just go get Byron Jones to shore up the secondary because we knew it was the biggest weakness. Thankfully, they were able to find a plan B. But what do you guys think? You guys, I mean, he went to the Dolphins. They paid him a fortune to go down to Miami. So,
yeah. Well, I know when we were discussing this originally, we were talking about his lack of interceptions and how that brought up a problem for some people. But I do like Slay more, also because of how they keep bringing up how, his play against Amari Cooper and that stuff. That's really going to be important, especially for us. We play him twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like his attitude. I know there's a few problems with him. In Detroit, he
a lot of problems in Detroit.
With Patricia, and that could have been just a them thing. Like how the Texans had a problem between coach and player.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what happens. He I believe Carson Wentz's first career interception was Darius Slay.
It was indeed.
I believe.
I remember that game.
So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It takes another enemy away for Carson. He doesn't have to deal with Darius Slay over there. So I also. If Chris, do you have an opinion on this Slay thing before?
Yeah. Well, I do like it. It's definitely an upgrade from Ronald Darby. Because I think these younger corners like Avonte Maddox and like Cravion and all of them need someone, I don't know, to learn from, like in a sort of way. Just because I feel like, especially Cravion and Avonte, I feel like both of them were kind of just. Get out there and try to figure it out. And I mean, when they were first out there, they struggled. And I mean, they picked it up eventually, and they were playing pretty good defensive football. But I think a guy, Darius Slay, that's a guy who can take control of the defense. But I'm actually much more concerned about our linebacker situation personally, because Nate Gary as our top linebacker doesn't sit well in my stomach, and I'm looking at the free agency list, and I'm just scrolling, looking for a linebacker. top linebacker Nigel Bradham. That's not happening. So it's like, God, T, what the hell do we do about that?
Oh my!
I actually wanted to talk about this before T, you get into it, because so we lose we lose Hill to the Dolphins, just like a few other guys from this team. They become the Miami Eagles in a way. But, so we do get Brown as a linebacker. I feel like people aren't talking about him enough. I think Jatavius Brown is his first name.
Mm-hmm.
Jatavius Brown.
We do have added to the depth, but yeah, Chris, you're right with Nathan over there. I don't really feel confident.
Okay, you say depth. What depth? All right, what depth do we have at that linebacker position? This is a position that we consistently and we have shown on record that we just don't give a damn about. Okay, we haven't drafted a linebacker, not counting Marcus Smith. We have not drafted a linebacker since the 1970s in the first round. That's a problem.
This team loves taking guys that we've never heard of off the practice squad and then putting them in there week 14 through the end of the season and having them surprise everyone. That's how this team goes.
And that's my whole thing, Tanner. That's the whole thing. Like you said it in a group text the other day. I'm tired of these doggone practice squad guys. Yo, straight up.
I want winners.
I want winners now. Okay, I want proven winners who have shown on tape, on the field, what they can do. I don't want no more projects. You know what? That's what I want out this draft for the Eagles. No more projects. If I see even a 7th round draft project, I'm slapping somebody. I'm serious. I'm slapping somebody.
Hey, isn't that? Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, isn't that what just to rebuttal you? Isn't that what a 7th round pick is? Taking a flyer on a guy?
Not if there's somebody on the board that maybe was overlooked because they went to a D2, D3 school and they can contribute to a team.
I don't know. That's just how I've always looked at later picks. Sorry, 10.
For projects, you can always pick them up via free agency if you really like them that much. That's all I'm saying.
All right, good point.
Like, there's no reason why to take a project on, take on a project player in rounds 4 to 6. You might flirt with one, like you said, in the 7th round, but I don't particularly care for that, especially if there's somebody on the board that you can really develop. But 4 to 6 rounds, I don't want no project. I want somebody who can add depth to the team and that, has proven on the field with his play that he can play. That's all I'm saying.
Over the past couple of years, watching college football and trying to, try to get to know players more, try to know more names going into the draft. And I know everybody gets excited, with rounds 1 and 2, maybe even 3. And I was always that one person that was like, all right, round 5, 6. Well, if we get somebody, we get somebody. But, is that person really going to contribute? Probably not. But I feel like this year, I started to look back on previous drafts and seeing some of the names that were getting taken, rounds 4, 5, things like that. And I was like, man, there's still some talent there. It's just about, can you find it? Do you have the, front office and, draft scouting department to be able to identify these players? I feel like that's one thing we've struggled with over the past few years is maybe we like the player we get, obviously, in round 1 and 2, but getting to rounds, 4, 5, 6, harder to find players definitely in those rounds, but they're still there. You just got to get them,
I agree. Go ahead,
I feel you, Max. I feel it because we're all familiar with that, how for the past couple of years we've been missing out on players like, for example, DK.
Mm-hmm.
We missed out on him. And also a more low-key one was we had a draft pick to get Gardner Minshew. He was still on the board. And we get Clayton Thorson. Where's he at right now?
Yeah, not on the team.
I believe that's who we got, Clayton Thorson.
I believe he's on a Dallas Cowboys practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. It's the
is.
last time I checked, so.
Yeah, not that we really necessarily needed him,
No.
but I mean, we don't have Thorson anymore. So, and, Gardner, he took the spot of Nick Foles. We didn't talk about that yet, but Nick Foles is a Chicago Bear, all due to Minshew magic, basically.
Three Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, there's a lot of magic on that team, but they're going with Gardner. But yeah, it's just I feel like we've been unlucky these past couple of years. And while we're still on this, which move which loss do you think affected this team on defense the most? So, we have Malcolm, Grugier Hill, which, he was up and coming.
Yeah, he was.
Improving.
He just wanted too much money, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm
so
a little
he went to
disappointed
the
in that
Dolphins.
one.
Jernigan, and I don't think anyone was too sad to see Darby leave. So
Yeah, get out.
I think the popular answer here will probably be Jenkins, but I think Jernigan, for some reason, I just felt like every time he played and you saw him just in the trenches, he always just brought something to the table. And if we still had him, I mean, boy, like,
you understand what I'm saying to you?
That would be stacked, that D-line, if we still had Jernigan. Jenkins, I get it, fan favorite, Philly strong, he was all Philly, I mean, everything about him was just all Philly, but he just, I don't know. I feel like he definitely is getting up there in age. He still can ball out. We all know that, and he probably will in New Orleans again. But
yeah.
I don't know. Something about him was just rubbing me the wrong way. I mean, yeah, he's Mr. Consistent. He's going to give you every snap. But I feel like at this point where we are now, I think it was good to just turn over a little bit. I know for me, the one thing I will say to counter my own argument would be the fact that Jalen Mills is not going to replace him. Yeah. Which, I mean, we all know that none of us here are big fans of him.
Let's get into that. Let's talk about the player, probably in the entire league, the player that's suffering the most from this whole coronavirus and no off season is Jalen Mills. He's changing position, and he's unable to practice. They're doing virtual practice isn't going to help him.
Nah,
he's going to need to be out there on the field, and he's going to be at least on this team, the most affected by this in terms of play, because he's changing position. So
yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, he's changing to safety, which is a position that we all wanted him to change to. So I was happy about it, and then the coronavirus happens, and now I'm like, oh man, now he's gonna struggle because man, he played it in college, but that was 4 years ago.
We have Will Clarks now, but
Malcolm did a lot for this team, okay, in terms of that linebacker safety hybrid role. You got to understand, this was a guy who we sent after tight ends, and we also told him to blitz, told him to drop back in coverage. He was responsible for all the coverage responsibilities in the secondary. That's not something that's going to be easily replaced. Now, yes, Malcolm Jenkins, I'm on record as saying this. I wanted Malcolm Jenkins gone because I think it was just that time. I'm not saying that to be a cruel person. I'm saying that because it was just that time, and you needed to move on, and it was time to get younger. And he was slowing down, Max. There was something off with him. He's slowing down. And honestly, I'm glad with that. We didn't pay him the money that he wanted, especially the money that he got for, going back to New Orleans. Like, that's incredible that he still got that amount of money. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be a weird transition, and that's going to be kind of weird to look at because, okay, yes, Jalen Mills doesn't have the foot speed. Yeah, he has some kind of ball hawking ability, but at the same time, I still don't trust him. Like, I still don't trust the fact that he's going to line up against a tight end and not bite on a double play. Like, those things are just cemented in my head. It's one of those reasons why I kind of didn't want Jalen Mills to come back. I kind of wanted us to move on from him, and I understand why they brought him back because they feel as though he still has some value, and they want to move him to that, they feel as though he's better in that linebacker safety role position. So we're going to see how this works out, in a 1-year contract, but
yeah, too. I'm definitely on
this offseason's going to hamper him a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah,
well, you and I have had this discussion. We both agree, as well as the Eagles, think that the safety position just suits Jalen Mills better. And look, I understand that you're concerned, but I don't think he's going to be a complete fish out of water.
Mm.
It's like you said, he back in college he did this. It's not something. It's new to him at the NFL level, but I'm not as pessimistic as you.
Mm.
But then again, you're also like crazy.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. Where is this coming from?
Also, oh, come on. You and your defensive football. Anyway,
I can't help the fact that I look at film, okay? And now that I'm stuck in the house, I ain't got nothing else to do but look at film. What you want me to do? What you want me to do?
I just think you're more critical than the average person. That's all I'm saying.
I look at tape. I can't help it.
I have faith in him. I have faith in him because you know what? In that Super Bowl year, I really enjoyed his play. Don't get me wrong. That was probably his best year of his career so far.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But, I got faith in him. All right? I think you're just being a little too pessimistic.
I'm always hopeful, but we'll see. Listen, this is one of those things where none of us really have any facts about it. I mean, we're talking about a whole new position in the NFL. We all know what he does at cornerback, and it's not good. But with safety, it's just a whole different ball game, and it's going to be interesting to see how he develops. I mean, we already talked about the coronavirus and how he's not able to get out there, so it's going to hurt him if the longer this goes on, where he won't be able to get out on the field and practice. So it's interesting to see. I think both sides of the football for this team need work. I mean, we talked about linebacker. I think I'm of the mindset that anybody at pick 21, depending on what we do, if we stay there, just take the best player available. I mean, I know we need receiver, but the receiver class is deep, where if you can still get some talented guy in the second round. If you can get a stud linebacker or somebody there at pick 21, I think you go after him. You just pick somebody that's going to be there for the future.
But they're not going after a linebacker. As a matter of fact, I was paying attention to some of the prospects.
I got Patrick Queen. Is that Patrick Queen? That's his name from LSU? He's a linebacker, right?
Here's my thing, though. Like I said, the Eagles haven't drafted a linebacker before Marcus Smith since the 1970s. So yeah, it's pretty clear
it's unpopular pick. It's an unpopular pick,
right? And it's pretty clear that this franchise really doesn't care too much about the linebacker position. And like I said before, I was paying attention to some of the prospects that they've been talking to reportedly, and who they're looking at now. They've only looked at 2 to 3 linebacker prospects, and they're going to probably go in rounds 4 to 7. That's day 3 picks. They're not paying attention to this linebacking position. That concerns me because, yes, you have a dominant defensive line, but at the same time, should they not perform their duties? And now that those offensive linemen, they get to that second level, now we got some problems because our linebackers stink.
What do you expect in here then? We talk about the wide receiver spot, but that's pretty much all we really hear about. We still have multiple picks. We have a second round pick as well. Where are we going? Are we just? I wouldn't expect us to go receiver, but I mean,
nah.
Is there any other position where you could see, okay, this is where we're going afterwards after we get our receiver?
I could say receiver and corner, defensive end. Yeah, corner, defensive end, or what probably will surprise me because they have been looking at a lot of prospects at this position, center.
JT,
I agree. I would love to see. an edge rusher. Go ahead, Tanner.
However, unlikely. The Eagles could surprise us all and get 4 straight wide receivers. You don't know what's going to happen. It could possibly happen.
Okay, if it happens, I'm finding where Howie Roseman lives and I'm slapping straight up.
Who specifically are you out of the wide receivers?
Bunch
who
of
would you
low
be
life.
most comfortable with? You got Ruggs. I saw some Justin or
Jefferson.
I don't like Justin Jefferson for the simple fact that we don't need another damn slot receiver. He's a slot receiver, guys. Like, I don't know. I don't understand what the allure with him is with the Eagles. I kid you not. He is talented. I will give you that. But at the same time, I don't want another Jordan Matthews because that's exactly what he's going to be for us. He's going to be a Jordan Matthews.
That D-Jax and Alshon are both outside receivers, though. Like, who is our slot receiver right now?
Shoot. What's his name? I can't think of his
name.
name.
Greg Ward?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm thinking about.
That's the problem. Off the bat, you're causing problems already. I know he was great towards the end of the season. But if you get Justin Jefferson and plug him in day one in the slot, I mean, look out, man. He's going to do some damage.
I have his stats from the championship game he had.
LSU, man.
He caught the ball 9 times, 106 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So he's a playmaker.
I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that at all.
That is college football.
That and here's where my issue is. You're addressing a slot position where you need outside receivers. That was our issue last year. Remember the Atlanta Falcons game when Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson went down at the same time, and we were stuck with Arcega-Whiteside and what was that other Mac Hollins.
Wouldn't you rather be stuck with Jefferson over Ward Jr. though?
I probably would, but at the same time, not at pick 21. I can pick another slot receiver in the 4th or 5th round.
This is why
I need
all going to lead to us trading up. That's where I think it's going to happen. I really do. I feel like because we're at 21 and there's so many, we're looking around on the piece of paper with our pencil, so many different names. If we just go up and get Judy or CeeDee Lamb, all of our headaches are gone.
I agree, because that's exactly what we need is another outside receiver. Please don't draft Justin Jefferson. If you got to stay put at pick number 21 and you have to pick a receiver, I would rather than pick Denzel Mims.
Where's he from?
Really?
Baylor, I believe.
Yeah. Is he?
Okay. I've heard his name thrown around too.
Denzel Mims. Okay, if I were to make a comparison right now, we all bitch and moan about how we missed out on DK Metcalf. Yeah, that's him. That's right. DK Metcalf again.
That's high praise, T. I'll admit. I'm a little surprised you went that far.
We'll keep that recorded. See how well that weathers through the season. But I just want to let you guys know, if you didn't know already, we have 10 picks in this draft, and we can afford. I'm sure there's teams above us that don't really need. As every draft, there's teams above us that don't need to be above us.
Right.
And so, there's going to be a lot of moving around. Not sure about us. Howie Roseman says, I keep seeing how he's not going to, there's not going to be any changes to our draft picks. But
man, that's ludicrous.
Yeah, that's stupid. What you mean there ain't going to be no change? Oh, somebody's going to come in with a trade to try to knock your socks off. I mean, come on now. Seriously.
We have a 3rd round pick as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. We have a 3rd round pick. Yep.
So we got assets from a draft pick standpoint.
We do.
You never know, move around a little bit, maybe.
And also, this is also maybe 2 weeks old news, but apparently Rasul Douglas could possibly be on the move as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they move him next week during the draft.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Now, here's another thing I want to bring up real quick, because I know we want to try to get to as much as we can here. There's low-key positions on this team that I'm hearing rumors we still could draft 1 or maybe 2 at this position or another position. I'm going to bring it up right now. The running back, first of all. I'm hearing a lot of things where a lot of people don't have – not saying they don't have confidence, but they don't have that, okay, this guy's our workhorse mindset of Miles Sanders. They're saying maybe we can – not saying high pick. I'm thinking maybe rounds 4 or 5. This is what I'm hearing.
Right. I've heard that too.
There might be another guy just to bring in, because Boston Scott and Miles Sanders are really your only 2 running backs right now on this roster. So I wouldn't be surprised if a running back is drafted on this team in this upcoming draft.
I would hope that running back is a bulldozer, because that's exactly what you would need. Yeah.
Another position. Quarterback. Another position is quarterback. Who's going to back up Carson? We know Josh McCown's retired. Nate Sudfeld, I know none of us really have. First of all, he gets hurt last preseason. That's just a freak wrist injury, not
Joe
something
Flacco.
Where. But listen, is he going to be the guy behind Wentz? I'm not so sure about that.
No. This team has no confidence in Nate Sudfeld. They're going to draft a quarterback.
I hope so. I just hope it's not a Clayton Thorson type of quarterback.
Oh God, no! Please.
Maybe to get lucky down, maybe, I don't know. How high, first of all, how high would you go with a quarterback spot? When's too early to draft one?
Yeah, we're talking a backup, so maybe 4th round at the highest.
Yeah, I'd say 4th is the highest that I would go to.
Now, here's the thing. How far is Jalen Hurts dropping? Is he going to get to round 4?
Heck no.
He's going. Where do they have him going right now?
I'll be surprised if he gets out of the 1st round. Jalen Hurts?
Are you kidding me? Really?
I'm serious about that. Yes.
He's like the 6th.
He's not going in the 1st round, too.
All right, you know what?
We got Burrow. We got what? Who?
Burrow's going number 1.
Herbert.
You got Herbert. Herbert, apparently, the latest mock draft that I saw, which makes absolutely no sense to me, is Herbert goes to the Dolphins and then Tua goes to Jacksonville. But, how would a team like Jacksonville do that when they were so – now get rid of Foles after he plays one game for them with the amount of money they give him. They tell Minshew, "You're our guy," and then they go and draft Tua.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Now, in terms
Minshew, oh man,
right, exactly.
Is this guy really going to be the face of the franchise?
I mean, he kind of outplayed y'all GOAT, so I don't know what you want me to say about that.
He didn't though, because Nick Foles in the first quarter, the first game. How can you barely say that he outplayed him?
Tanner gets it right now. I agree. I think that Foles' injury early on it was unfortunate. Minshew kind of had the few week Minshew mania thing going, and Minshew's defense, Foles comes back from that injury. He really doesn't play well.
You know what? I
ship him out. I mean, they just signed him in that ridiculous contract, and now they're going to ship him out less than a year after they signed him.
Yeah, and that's why they're going to be in cap hell for the next 3-4 years.
It's crazy.
You know what? Also, I just saw that really just made me. I just think that this team's crazy too. Is the Bears could be linked to Jalen Hurts. And the Bears get Nick Foles.
That doesn't surprise me.
Mitchell Trubisky.
That would be interesting.
And then, obviously, you put Trubisky on the move. You keep Hurts if you have him as a backup.
Right.
But, there's still a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be out there circling, like Cam Newton, for example.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
It'll be exciting to see how
Cam Newton is still a free agent. That's crazy to me. That's incredible.
Will the Patriots tank this year and get Trevor Lawrence next year?
Oh my goodness. I swear, if they get Trevor Lawrence, I kid you not, I'm going to be so upset.
I don't think they will.
How perfect would that be?
They're too good of a team still in order to do that. Even without Brady.
But let's just think about this for a minute. How perfect would that be to get rid of a generational quarterback, tank for 1 year, and then the next year you draft a generational quarterback? How incredible would that be?
I have a weird sense here that, first of all, Bill Belichick, from what I know about him and looking at him and learning about his career as a coach over the years, I just don't think there's any way, there's no chance, in my opinion, that Jared Stidham is the quarterback in week 1.
Yeah.
They're just not going to happen.
No, it's not happening.
Cam's going to come in to that organization, or they're going to draft somebody.
Ridiculous.
There's just no way that Jared Stidham or Brian Hoyer, who they brought back to be the backup, there's no way.
Man, that's ludicrous.
It's just not going to happen.
No, not at all. That ain't happening. They're drafting them. I say they're going to draft a quarterback this year, but they're not giving the keys to the franchise to no Stidham. That's no, definitely
not. They've got a late 20s pick, and here's the thing: we know these quarterbacks are going to get taken early, but Jordan Love, I mean, he could be there for him at pick, what are they, 28, 29, whatever.
He could. I will say this: out of all the quarterback prospects, I think my most hated prospect, and probably in my opinion, the most overrated one is Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is overrated. I think he is Jamarcus Russell because, you know what, I won't even go that far because Jamarcus Russell at least was good in college. Justin Herbert's career throwing percentage is in the mid-50s. That's an issue, especially in today's football college game where everything is spread out and these passes are pretty easy to get to these receivers. How is that possible that you still throw in the mid-50s in terms of completion percentage?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know, man. I think Herbert is better than what you're giving him credit for. I just think he moves smoothly in the pocket, and he also has the ability to get out there and run as well. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's, the top quarterback in this draft, but I'm also not going to sit here and say that Joe Burrow is the top quarterback in this draft either. I really do think it's going to come down to, is Tua healthy? And if he is, I think Tua is the best quarterback in the draft.
You know what, T, I want to go back to, because I know Max was wondering where Hurts would go in the draft, and they're saying maybe the Steelers go and draft Hurts because, they have no big problems on defense, and what their problem should be focusing on is the life after Ben Roethlisberger. Because let's face it, he's maybe this could be his last season, and they got just two quarterbacks that are just unsure if they even want to start themselves, because you got Mason Rudolph, you got Duck Hodges, who haven't really proved who was better yet.
True.
And then you go ahead and get a Jalen Hurts, and you have him there watching Ben Roethlisberger play. And that could be an option. There's also Jameis Winston for the Steelers too.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I agree, Tanner. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I think that coaching comes into it too. I mean, Mike Tomlin, he's worked his whole career with Big Ben at the helm. Does he really want to bring in Jalen Hurts, who kind of he's a whole different type of quarterback and more of a running quarterback? I know he does have a strong arm. He can throw the ball in the pocket. But his skill set, even without Big Ben, we saw Duck Hodges step in, Mason Rudolph step in. Those guys weren't too mobile either. So I would think if it's going to happen, now I'm not saying they're going to draft a first-round quarterback here, but if they do, if they get up there and say second round, maybe Jordan Love's hanging around, I don't know, man. I don't know much about Love personally, but I don't think he's as mobile as a Tua healthy or Herbert.
In terms of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, he really doesn't have a choice but to adjust to this new game. I understand, you're comfortable with Big Ben because that's, who's brought you success, your entire head coaching career. But at the same time, this is a new generation of quarterbacks that's coming in now. No longer are these guys 6'6", 6'7" statues in the pocket. That's, those guys are dinosaurs now. You got to have at least some kind of mobile ability, to be able to extend plays or at least be able to keep the defense honest. He's got no choice. He better, if he's smart, he better be looking for somebody to come in after Ben Roethlisberger. Because, come on now, how long, honestly, with all the injuries that Roethlisberger has gone through over the years, how long do you honestly expect him to continue playing? Seriously.
Maybe 3 years at the most.
Now let me ask you something. Is Big Ben a Hall of Famer as of now?
Yes.
If he just retires right now, he's a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay.
No debate. Nope. Yes.
He's got 2 rings in 3 tries?
Yes. That's a heck of a record. That's not something to scoff at. Yes.
He's consistent. I mean, last year was the first time he's gotten injured in how long,
Yeah, and also, what hurt his play the most? Ben Roethlisberger, he's never, in some seasons he's been like a top, a top quarterback, top 7 maybe. But I believe what would put him over what really hurt his play was, losing the 2 weapons that he did, Antonio Brown and Bell, in their, prime per se. And, that obviously we see how that ended up for both those players.
Yeah. One is on a horrible team and the other one's an ass clown. Yeah,
you have players like that your whole, for the past couple seasons, and now you're going back into it with you got James Conner and who do the Steelers have at wide receiver?
Juju,
and who's that Switzer guy, right?
Yeah, Ryan Switzer.
Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting to see Ben Roethlisberger play with just those weapons that he has and see how he can play now.
The draft, maybe, you never know. Pittsburgh, it's an interesting situation. They have we're talking about Pittsburgh. It's an interesting thing to bring up. Both being across Pennsylvania state, rivals here. And a few weeks ago, it was brought up, maybe there's going to be a rivalry, so to speak, between an AFC team and an NFC team that is kind of near you geographically. So people were saying maybe in the coming years we could see Pittsburgh and Philly, play in a stadium such as Penn State, like up in Happy Valley. Maybe that would be pretty crazy.
That would be interesting. I'm on record as saying that would be my dream Super Bowl for the Eagles to go up against the Steelers, and that would be so cool to play at Penn State, that Penn State Beaver Stadium. That would be awesome.
Yeah, every time we do play Steelers, I feel like it's already a rivalry. I have a few people I know that are Steelers fans that were born in the same area I was born. Never been to Pittsburgh. And it's just, I guess it's really who you were grown up to watch and everything like that. But yeah, I always feel like a rivalry between the Steelers, no matter who's on what team.
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that.
Let's just because I wanted, before we get into like picks and things we want to see happen for the draft, I want to save some of that for next week because that's big time, right?
Yeah.
what is that, next Thursday?
I want to get in the other teams and the off-season moves.
Definitely. Well, we got the draft. What is that, next Thursday night?
Yep.
So we'll have a show before the draft that day. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we'll have a show that day, so we'll be able to record our show and kind of make our predictions right before the big time event.
Yes, sir. Tanner, what do you got? You want to talk a little DeAndre Hopkins, I assume.
Oh man, let's dive right into that.
I'm still laughing.
absolutely stunned after I heard that we had a shot at getting DeAndre Hopkins, and they must have been offering too much. And then I see what the Texans received from the Arizona Cardinals. They received. Well, let me just say this, Chris, David Johnson.
Hey, he had his best career game against the Eagles. How much was that?
That's not gonna help the Texans.
No, I know.
What hurt the Texans the most is who they have coaching the team.
Ooh,
what is this guy doing?
Ooh, you know what?
And what is Howie Roseman doing? I'll look at both these guys, but who's in the worst situation, and who's in the most trouble? Howie Roseman for not getting DeAndre Hopkins for what we can assume was, as T says, peanuts.
Yeah.
And O'Brien just it's okay. He got who'd he get? Stills?
First off, I'm sorry, but who in the hell is making these decisions? Seriously.
I would think it's like me playing Madden.
Yes.
It made no sense.
I'm thinking Chip Kelly done made this retarded move. Seriously.
A wise ass comment?
Yeah, it was a wise ass comment. You're doggone right it was. That was the stupidest trade I've ever seen. You literally trade the best receiver in the NFL for an old aging running back. And what were the draft picks? A third and a fifth?
I'm sorry, I said they got Stills, but
are you kidding me right now?
They got Brandon Cooks.
They fix it with Brandon Cooks. That's fine.
Wow.
I think that might have hurt them even more, honestly.
Possible. I don't see it, but again, we don't know the real reason why Howie didn't do this, but at the end of the day, would you, for example, throw this out here hypothetically, would you have traded Miles Sanders a third and a fifth for Hopkins?
Ooh.
That's the question.
I had to think about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would really, really think about it. Yeah.
No.
Same thing.
No.
You wouldn't do it, Chris?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
Chris, we're talking about the best.
Johnson.
I know Tanner would do it.
Chris, we're talking about the best receiver in the NFL. Honestly, I think I would do it. I would. I can find another running back. That's the beautiful part.
Guess.
Ain't no guess. I can easily find another running back. As a matter of fact,
why aren't you working for the Eagles then, eh?
As a matter of fact, my young boy DeAndre Swift is coming out this year. So guess what?
DeAndre Swift is really talented.
Well, it's a good thing you're the Eagles general manager.
Yeah, I wish.
Now let's get into the Cardinals now, because they're obviously a better team now. Kyler Murray gets rookie of the year. He gets more weapons. So the Cardinals last year are 5-10. They got Larry Fitzgerald. Still, they got who do they got? They got Christian Kirk, right?
Christian Kirk is really good.
He's
DeAndre Hopkins. They got Zach Pascal, right?
Mm-hmm. That Cardinals team is going to be scary.
They better bolster that defense, though. I'm telling you.
But listen, they're still dealing with the Rams. Let's face it, the Rams are not what they were a few years ago. I feel like they might win a couple games, the Rams, but they're still dealing with the Niners, and the Seahawks are always a problem.
Right.
So in that aspect, now they still have to worry about it, but for hurting themselves this year is going to be limited. And in the draft, they can really this can really be a strong point for them to make during the draft and see a few offensive linemen. I know Kyler Murray got sacked a lot last season.
He's running for his life.
Yeah, they gotta bolster up that offensive line.
But you get Kyler Murray some protection, and you got guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. Two of these guys are Hall of Famers.
Drake, you got to remember, this dude was tearing it up at the end of last year.
Yeah. Yep. Drake was tearing it up towards the end of the season.
Yeah, so they weren't sorry to see David Johnson leave.
Because that's an old contract that they can finally get rid of, that they can finally move on from, especially like Max said with Drake coming into the fold. So that's beautiful. Hey, 3rd and the 5th and an old running back here. Take him.
Cardinals GM must have woke up the next morning and was like, "Did that really happen?
Is this a genjutsu? Like seriously? Like
in Houston. I mean, I'm kind of interested. Is he going to have any sort of resurgence as the bell cow in the Houston backfield? Because we all know Lamar Miller coming off that ACL. That's a name we haven't heard of in a while. But I'm not 100% sure if he's still under contract. And if he is he going to be ready for week 1? Who knows? Everything's still up in the air right now. But David Johnson is the go-to guy for Houston.
Either way, this is still a stupid trade.
I feel like almost a Texans fan right now of how mad I am. So this is a playoff team, all right? Just needs a few small weapons to, improve their team even more. And then you get rid of your best player on the team, and that aggravates your quarterback. Deshaun Watson might even be asking to get out of there.
I don't blame him.
I saw a few fan trades between DeAndre or Deshaun Watson going to the Patriots, but we're not going to get into that.
God.
We're not going to entertain that.
This is some bullshit.
Now these players next season, are they going to even want to play for O'Brien?
I wouldn't. It'd be like playing for Chip Kelly. I wouldn't want no parts of O'Brien.
Don't just trade away the best receiver. I'm saying that
Hall
he's
of
the best
Fame receiver. A Hall of Fame receiver.
The
no
best
doubt.
receiver in the game right now. I wouldn't take anybody over him. I really wouldn't. I mean, you guys can
Not
throw
Michael
arguments
Thomas?
out there. I mean, I know Mike Thomas. I get it. Mike Thomas and Julio. I get it. But no, I think hands down, if I got one guy I need to catch the ball for me to save my life, I'm picking DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. You're not going to get I'm not going to disagree with you there. DeAndre Hopkins is a heck of a receiver. Almost everything you throw his way, he's going to come down with.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. And, that's just, even more power to Kyler Murray. Deshaun Watson's sure going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's probably saying, seriously, Brandon Cooks? Really? That's what you're going to do for me? Brandon Cooks? Rams didn't want him.
I will say this as our time winds down. So you talked about what, Howie Roseman could have gave up potentially for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, from what I hear, the scenario that I think Max put out about giving up Miles Sanders, that was part of the trade deal that it would have took to bring DeAndre Hopkins to Philadelphia. And I'm sorry, but I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I just wouldn't have. So I guess he's trying to, build up that young core, and he feels as though Miles Sanders is the running back of the future. And that's all fine and dandy. We're talking about DeAndre Hopkins here. We're talking about a position where you had a clear problem at the wide receiver position, and it did not get fixed until towards the end of the season when Carson Wentz was playing with a bunch of practice squad scrubs. And that's putting it nicely. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
You have to address that outside wide receiver position. Stop relying on Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, 2 injury-prone players, to get you over the hump. It's not going to happen anymore. It's not. You should have.
A quick shout out here before we get going to the Carolina Panthers. I think they have a great offseason so far. Teddy Bridgewater, Robbie Anderson. They brought in a new head coach, Matt Rule. I think he's going to be good for them.
They've been rebranded as the Carolina Owls.
There you go.
Carolina Owls.
C-Max,
NFC South.
That new contract too, making them the highest paid running back. They're going to be a fun team to watch this year.
Impressive quarterbacks.
A playoff team if we can get the season going.
I agree.
Let's
Hopefully.
just say that louder. Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow.
This NFC South, the quarterbacks are Breeze, Matt Ryan, now Tom Brady, and like Max said, Bridgewater. Just it's going to be really competitive. And you have the Saints going 13-3 last season due to most of the part, or some of the part, was Bridgewater, right?
Yep.
In agreement with that? Bridgewater helped the Saints out. And, I'm not sure about Matt Ryan. I think, I think we've seen the best of Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be ever back to a top 7 quarterback in this league.
My thing is this with the Tom Brady signing, with the Bucs. I mean, he's going into a dynamic offense, but he's also going into an offense where they like to throw deep. You gotta understand, even though Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, he still threw over 5,000 yards. They love to air it out deep. My thing is Tom Brady's arm going to be able to hold up? Because I think he's losing some of that arm strength. I don't think he has that deep throwing accuracy like he used to.
I'll tell you what, they do need a running back.
I think that the Falcons are going to run the football more with Todd Gurley. I think Julio getting up there in age, Matt Ryan getting up there in age. I think they might just be like, you know what, Todd, we're just going to run you till the wheels fall off.
His wheels are already falling off. That's the issue, though.
If they don't believe that.
Those legs, man.
Got them.
Man, when a running back's legs go out, that's it. That's the life of a running back. I'm sorry.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. It was a weird free agency period. A lot of fun, a lot of moving parts. And, so far for the Eagles, we're kind of, staying pat for the most part. I know we did go get Slay, which was huge.
Yeah.
But as far as going and landing a big-time free agent, hasn't happened. And not that there isn't any more talent out there. There is some names that are still out there, maybe a little injury-prone. But, I'm thinking of guys like maybe Devontae Freeman, guys like that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I think we're all focused on the draft now.
That Jordan Howard move made me upset because what did the Dolphins give Howard? 10?
Yeah, they gave him 10 mil.
2 years. Which, I feel like the Eagles, definitely can afford to do that, but they have bigger plans, I guess.
Yeah, and I did say that he wasn't going to get that much on the free agency market.
Yeah.
So.
All right, now I got a bonus question for you guys. Which team do you think benefited the most from free agency this season?
Man,
I gotta think about this quick because we're running out of time. Dang.
And I still gotta say my team. I got a few points on them. So while you guys are thinking about that, I'll say my team. I got the Bills.
That's
right?
a good
They've
team.
done they haven't lost big pieces. They've improved. They've got Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen's got a gun. He's gonna sling it out to Diggs a lot. They have although the Bills don't have a first round pick.
I'm gonna say my team, the Cardinals, with that DeAndre Hopkins trade, because there's no way you can just offload any good regular average NFL GM. It's not gonna be able to offload an old aging running back contract and be able to trade for one of if not the best wide receivers in the NFL. It got to be the Cardinals. Now all you gotta do is just work on the offensive line.
Yeah, tough to argue that. I'm going to stick with my team that I mentioned earlier, Carolina Panthers. I really do think they're a playoff team this upcoming season. I think Matt Rule's going to come in there, and he's the right guy for the job. I've watched him coach, especially at Temple, and he goes to Baylor. He just wins wherever he goes. You also got to factor in locking up the best running back in football for 4 more
Luke
years.
Kuechly.
Yeah, retiring.
I think though that alone right there, that core of moves is going to propel them to a playoff spot.
I was going to say the Cardinals too, because you know what? I disrespected Kyler Murray in the past. You know that.
We both have.
My eyes have been opened up a little bit. There's definitely talent there, and then you add DeAndre Hopkins to his weapons list. I mean, hey,
I can agree with that.
Definitely a team.
Boys, it was definitely good seeing you guys again. Hey, you guys missed any of this episode, once again, you can always go to philly-experience.simplecast.com. Available all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, the whole shebang. We're going to try to do this and try to make a distraction out of everything that's going on because, let's be honest here, we're all stuck in the house. We ain't got nothing else to do, so we're going to try to entertain you guys in the meantime. Until then, appreciate everybody tuning in.
See you guys.
Go Phillies in spirit.
Surprise,
in spirit.
Spirit.
I want me some glory hole.